Professor Zix Theta adjusted her crystalline vocal cords as she floated before the mixed species xenobiology class at the Galactic University. Her translucent form shimmered with the excitement of sharing knowledge with students from across the known galaxy. Today's lesson covered defensive adaptations in primitive species, a topic she found endlessly fascinating. As we can observe, she said, manipulating the holographic display to show a small, furry creature. The Terran rabbit employs several survival mechanisms: enhanced hearing, rapid reproduction, and powerful hind legs for escape velocity. The classroom hummed with the various breathing patterns of 24 different species. Crystalline vorthons clinked softly, the plant-based silhari rustled their leaves, and the aquatic neptari bubbled thoughtfully in their mobile tanks. In the back row, Marcus Chen, one of only 3 humans in the entire university, raised his hand. The gesture still seemed primitive to most aliens, but Professor Zixitheta had grown fond of human customs during her decades of teaching. Yes, human Marcus? Marcus leaned forward, his dark eyes curious. Professor, you mentioned the rabbit's speed and hearing, but what about its teeth? Those front incisors can chew through wood, metal wire, even some plastics, and their claws can dig through concrete given enough time. Couldn't those be considered weapons? The classroom fell silent. Even the neptari stopped bubbling. Professor, Zix Theta's form flickered, the Etherean equivalent of a confused blink. Well, those are primarily feeding and burrowing adaptations, human Marcus. The teeth are for processing vegetation, and the claws for creating warrens. Right, but they're also weapons, Marcus continued, seemingly oblivious to the growing tension in the room. I mean, if I needed to hurt someone, rabbit teeth could do some serious damage. And if you trained them, packed them with explosives, or modified their claws with metal tips. He trailed off, noticing the stares. What? The Vorthon student, nearest to Marcus, had gone completely transparent, a fear response. One of the Silhari was frantically rustling, which Professor Zix Theta recognized as their species' equivalent of hyperventilation. Human Marcus, the professor said carefully, are you suggesting that this small herbivorous creature could be weaponized? Marcus shrugged. Everything can be weaponized if you think about it creatively. That's like basic human thinking, isn't it? The silence stretched longer. Professor Zixitheta's mind raced through her databases. In all her centuries of studying species across the galaxy, she had never encountered a race that immediately assessed the combat potential of other life forms. The standard approach was to categorize by intelligence, social structure, or ecological impact. But weapons potential? Human Marcus, she said slowly. Could you elaborate on this thinking process? Marcus looked around the room, finally sensing the atmosphere. Sure. I mean, take that plant species you showed us last week, the Andorian bloom. You said it releases spores for reproduction, right? But those same spores, if concentrated and aerosolized, could be a biological weapon. Or the kelp forests of Proxima, great oxygen producers, but if you genetically modified them to produce toxins instead. A Neptari student's tank actually cracked from the pressure changes caused by their distress. The crystalline caves of Vorth Prime, Marcus continued, warming to the topic. Perfect natural armor plating if you harvested and shaped the formations. And those energy-feeding space jellies near the galactic core? Mobile power sources for weapon systems. Professor Zixitheta felt a chill run through her photonic matrix. Human Marcus, in your species' history, how often have you actually implemented such ideas? Marcus paused, thinking. Well, humans have weaponized just about everything at some point. Plants, animals, weather patterns, diseases, mathematics, music, art, literature, food, water, even our own bodies. We turned splitting atoms, a natural process, into both power generation and the most destructive weapons in our history. The professor's form began to destabilize. You weaponized mathematics? Cryptography, targeting algorithms, trajectory calculations, Yeah, math is the foundation of most advanced weapons. Marcus noticed a Solari student had actually rooted itself to the floor in terror. Are you guys okay? You look stressed. Professor Zixa Theta struggled to maintain her coherence. In the galactic community, warfare was almost unknown. Most conflicts were resolved through biological adaptation, resource sharing, or simple avoidance. The concept of deliberately creating tools for harm was so foreign that their languages barely had words for it. Human Marcus, she managed, when your species observes a rainbow, what do you think? Beauty, wonder, the physics of light refraction. Marcus paused. Oh, and laser applications, prism-based targeting systems, optical camouflage. Why? She realized with growing horror that she had her answer. Where other species saw beauty, harmony, or natural processes, humans saw potential weapons. It wasn't malicious. It seemed to be simply how their minds worked. Class dismissed, Professor Zixtheta announced shakily. As the students filed out, many giving Marcus a wide berth, the young human approached her desk. Professor, did I say something wrong? Everyone seemed upset. Professor Zixtheta looked at this representative of a species that had somehow managed to weaponize peaceful mathematics and still maintain enough curiosity to study xenobiology. Human Marcus, I believe we need to have a conversation with the Galactic Council. Cool, what about? She dimmed to barely visible luminescence. I suspect they're going to want to know why we've been so focused on keeping humans out of our military academies when we should have been keeping them out of everything else. Marcus brightened. Oh, are humans good at military stuff? That makes sense. We've had a lot of practice. As he walked away humming cheerfully, Professor Zixitheta began composing an urgent message to the council. The subject line read, Immediate classification review required. Species 2847H, humans. Potential universal weapons consultants. She paused before sending it, struck by a terrifying thought. If humans thought in weapons naturally, what did they consider actual weapons to be? She decided she didn't want to know.